stop, wait, do not do this Borderlands 4 quest. This quest is called Vend of the Line, and it is glitched. In this quest, you can get a guaranteed legendary by interacting with a special vending machine. However, if you try and sell your junk to it, the quest ends and you won't be able to pick your legendary, which is bad. So that's annoying in itself, but it gets worse because if you're playing in multiplayer, because only one person in the group will be able to pick the legendary. The first person that does this then stops the rest of the group from picking. So to say another way, the vending machine only gives out one legendary even if you're playing with other people. It's first come, first serve. But one tip here is to have a look at the selection the machine offers. If you don't like the selection it offers, you can go back and return to the main menu and rejoin. You'll then see the vending machine has a new and randomized selection. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. For the next one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and we will crack on. One thing you're probably doing a whole lot of in Borderlands 4 is overheating. A cheesy little way to stop weapons from overheating is this. Have you ever noticed how some weapons overheat and prevent you from firing them for a little annoying while? Well, there's a way around that. Simply open your inventory, then close it again. The overheat animation will stop, then you can go back to using your weapon. This is especially good with things like the Mad Lad SMG. So you can keep firing and firing, then just press the inventory button, which on PlayStation is the touchpad in the middle of the controller, and then press it again to go back to firing again, beating all of those overheating annoyances. Here's a big mistake loads of players are making in Borderlands 4, and that's playing on a higher difficulty. And they do that because they think it's going to get them rarer weapons. Well, it doesn't. Legendaries will spawn with just as much frequency on easy mode as on hard mode. And there's even hard data to back this up. A YouTuber by the name Glitching Queen killed the Splash Zone boss 1,000 times across all of the different difficulties in the game in order to see what happens, and also in order to see the probability of the different drop rates. On easy mode, the drop rate was 19.5%. On normal, it was 18.33%, and on hard, it was 19.50%. So pretty much an equal drop rate across the board, accounting, of course, for variables in the small sample size. The drop rate actually went down the further up the difficulty she went. So on Ultimate Vault Hunter 5, it appears to go down to 14.5 or 14.50. Suffice to say, play on whatever difficulty you feel comfortable with, but just don't feel like you have to punish yourself by playing on a harder difficulty just so you can increase your drop rate, because you will encounter just as many legendaries while playing on easy as on hard. Here is a massive misconception about leveling in Borderlands 4. Grinding levels during the main story is a waste. That's, in my opinion, that's just what I think about levels. Do not think you have to sit there grinding levels in order to stay competitive. The game relies on you having a good build rather than a good level. So instead of grinding on bosses for levels, farm bosses for loot. It's much easier to do that rather than trying to gain XP, and anyway, XP will occur as a byproduct of getting that loot. Now, there are those tougher areas filled with high-level enemies, and this is causing people to say that you need to level up by doing side quests and side content. However, some areas are just fixed. In other words, sometimes you'll encounter enemies who are just higher than you, no matter how high your level is. I really don't trust this level scaling in this game, and in my opinion, you shouldn't either. So stop focusing on your level and just make sure you've got the loot to make your build as optimized as it can possibly be. One thing you're probably doing a whole lot of in Borderlands 4 is running out of space in your inventory. This is a common problem, especially as you're going to be looting a whole lot of guns in this game, and nothing hurts more than taking down a boss and finding out you've got no more room. Well, the answer is then to either junk your current weapons or not pick up any new ones. But there's something that experienced Borderlands 4 players are doing, and that's using the virtual bank. Yes, you can bank any item in your inventory remotely. Instead of going back to a settlement and using the bank to drop off all of your weapons and gear, use the one that's conveniently placed for you in the menu. To use this remote bank, go into your backpack. Next, press square to mark a weapon. This is square on PlayStation or X if you're on Xbox, but in this video I'm going to be using the PlayStation buttons. This brings up the mark menu. From the mark menu, go down twice to bank. Now, when you've selected bank, you can do that by pressing X, and this marks the item. This will be marked to put into your bank, and you can mark all of the items you want, and you can start to do this quite quickly as well when you build up a rhythm. So what I'm doing is pressing square, hitting down twice, then X, and it's even easier if you use the D-pad. Now there's actually one last thing you need to do, and that's send all of these items off to the bank. To do this, hold down on the left stick, and it's as easy as that. Every item that you've just marked will be banked, and you'll even get a helpful little pop-up warning if you're about to bank one of your equipped items, so you can then choose to bank that or not. And with that, all of the items are now sent to the bank, freeing up a ton of room for new loot. Do remember that your bank does have a limited inventory, so it's not like you can just fill it up indefinitely, but you can increase the slots in your bank by purchasing them from the SDU menu. So if you're a bit of a weapons hoarder, you can buy a load more bank space. You will find your bank at any settlement, and banks are shared between settlements and not localized, which means you can find your stuff in any bank because they are universal. So that was the first mistake a lot of players are making, which is not using their remote bank and missing out on rare loot. So next up, if you find yourself at critical health while surrounded by enemies and your rep kit is on cooldown, all you have to do is summon your vehicle. You can do this by pressing the D-pad right. This will give you another health bar, which is the vehicle's armor essentially, and that will hold off enemies while your shield and rep kit recharges. Not only that, but you will also have unlimited ammo on the vehicle to thin out the herd. Your vehicle can get destroyed, of course, but there's way more health on it and more than enough health to take some punishment while your health returns. So all you have to do is press right on the D-pad and boom, instant second health bar. Another thing people are doing wrong in Borderlands 4 is not unlocking safe houses. So here is a map of all the safe houses in the game, courtesy of this Reddit user, YT Titanium TIDV. Unlocking safe houses is going to make travelling around just so much more easy, and the game doesn't exactly make it simple to see where these safe houses are. The map has a fog of war, which means they won't appear until you're right up next to them. But using this map, you can actually see exactly where they are and then just go and unlock them. Simple as that. This is also going to help with the next tip, this unlocking safe houses, and the next tip is all about leveling up very, very fast. To level up fast and earn quick legendaries while you do it, do safe house routes. The way safe house routes work is you go to a safe house, you grab all of the vile bounties on the board and keep clearing these. This is the quickest and most efficient way to level up and earn legendaries. So I'm going to break down how it works. Each lap around the 3 main regions takes about 12 minutes, maybe 15 to complete, and you usually will get around 1 level per lap. So 1 level every 12 to 15 minutes. Now what you want to do is do this when you're around level 30 and have beaten the campaign. Beating the campaign is when vile bounties show up. These are purple and orange rarity quests that you can find at Stronghold bounty boards. A vile bounty will mark a high value target on the map and then ask you to assassinate them, a bit like the regular bounties. It's just these reward you with much better stuff. These take less than a minute to clear and award roughly a quarter of a level, which is really, really good. XP scales with level, so they are always worth doing. And as I mentioned, they are always a great source of legendaries. Speaking of which, a great source of legendaries are drill sites. Whether you're in your first run of the game or in ultimate vault hunter mode, always hit up a drill site. Not only do they have great drop rate rates, but they are also farmable, so you can interact with a moxxi sign outside to replay them. A great drill site is the Pitted Stain. This is located south of the map, and the Pitted Stain is one I really recommend because there are 3 bosses in this area, and that just triples your chance of a legendary. It's also really early, probably the earliest drill site in the game, so you can get to it right away. It takes about a minute to clear, and as I say, this is farmable, so go get your legendaries from the Pitted Stain. A quick little method of saving you some frustration during those missions where you have to pick up an object, such as the Speller Yellow mission in the early game, is this. To drop a carried item, rather than throw it, just press the same button you used to pick it up. This will be square on PlayStation and X on Xbox. So what I was doing before was pressing the right trigger to throw the item, as I thought that was the only way you could get rid of it, but no, it turns out you can simply drop a carried item on the ground rather than just launch it halfway across the map. This is also useful for when you're doing those ancient crawler sites and have to climb or jump with the battery in your hand. So don't throw the item, drop it if you need to. Another mistake is neglecting SDU points. Don't neglect SDU points. These are used to buff your character in loads of different ways, such as increasing your inventory space and the size of your ammo with all of the different weapons, so you can fire for longer without having to reload. Different activities give you different amounts of SDU points, or tokens. You can call them tokens or points. For instance, liberating safehouses and silos get you points, collecting vault symbols, doing Alga shrines, the propaganda speakers, the Ripper drill sites, etc. But the activity that gets you the most SDU points, which is 40, are the special activities. You might not have access to all of them, depending on where you are in the story, but the earliest activities that give you the maximum of 40 SDU points are the following. So these are going to be drill sites, crawlers, and silos. Later on, you get access to abandoned mines and bunkers as well. Collectibles are also good for SDU points. These will get you between 5 and 20 points, and that again depends on the type of collectible it is, but they are definitely worth grabbing. So what's good is that there is enough SDU points to buy everything in the game, so you don't have to agonize about what to buy. You can get everything. Hidden vaults are something you really need to do ASAP. If you're playing Borderlands 4, go to the vaults. Vaults dramatically upgrade your character, granting things like better gliding, quicker recharges, shorter cooldowns, and 50% less energy cost. In other words, with one of these vaults, you'll be able to dodge 4 times on a full charge instead of 2. That's the sort of stuff you're looking at inside a vault. Each of the 3 main areas has its own vault, and all you have to do is find 3 vault key pieces, and you can open the vault. So definitely go after vaults if you want to get a fundamental upgrade to your character. Upgrade your vehicle in Borderlands 4 ASAP. This is of course the Digi-Runner, and a lot of people are missing this, but you can customize it with loads of different parts to change a bunch of things. So you can change how it handles, you can change its speed, and also its acceleration as well. It's not just a paint job, but you can fundamentally change how this works. But you have to unlock these parts first. So to do this, it's not actually that difficult. All you need to do is go to the objectives. These objectives tell you exactly what to do. For instance, by reaching a set number of kills, you can fulfill that and then get the upgrade. Once that's done, you'll unlock that part, and then you can go into the customization menu and upgrade your Digi-Runner. Now, since this is a vehicle you're going to be using a whole lot in Borderlands 4, it just makes sense that you're going to want to make it as good as it can possibly be. A little control tip now that's going to save you a lot of time in the inventory. This is by pressing down on the D-pad when you pick up a weapon. So you've probably just been pressing the button that makes you pick it up, but there's another button, an alternative button to pick up weapons and also items and gear as well. Doing this instantly marks it as junk. This is much quicker than picking up a weapon and going into the inventory, then marking it junk that way, but mark it as soon as it's in your hand by pressing down on the D-pad. From there, you can then choose to sell it at a vending machine or scrap it, but it's just a lot quicker and takes some of the annoyance out of fiddling your way through the menu. In Borderlands 4, always match elements if you want to do the most damage possible. Fire against flesh, shock works against shields, corrosion against armor, and kinetic is the same against everything across the board. Elements have always been a thing in Borderlands, of course, but in Borderlands 4 they are more prioritized than ever. The fact elements have an increased focus is a good thing though, because it makes different loot pieces matter more. For instance, you can have a kinetic element on a random blue item and it could synergize well with your build and even better than, say, a purple weapon without that kinetic element. In other words, lower tier weapons and even green ones can remain viable on later levels and even outperform some of your rarer ones, all because of that element that goes well with your build. So those were some of the biggest mistakes I see players making in Borderlands 4, and that's what to do in order to combat them. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for more Borderlands 4 guides.